Aries, welcome to your November readings. Let's see what is happening for our beautiful Aries. We'll get as much detail as possible for you for the month of November. We're going to draw your oracle cards first, and then we'll dive straight into your tarot. And today, beautiful souls, there will be extended readings over on Patreon and in the YouTube members area. I'll put links below for anyone that wants to connect in with those. I am seeing this and this for you, my lovely Aries. Okay, let's have a look at your oracle cards first. You have grounding. Look at that anchor point. How interesting. You also have grief. You also have expansion. And you have your faith. 12th house. Philanthropy. Keep your involvement hidden, hidden tendencies, your faith. Then you have the power of love. Oh, Aries. And you have, this is the 5th house, so it's about creativity. Romance even, yes. Fun, romance, making art. I think this is a really big turnaround, Aries, for you. I think that's what we're seeing in November. A very, very big turnaround. And I feel as though the turnaround may be quite fast. You know, it's almost as if you move from a place where you are grieving. Let me word this correctly. Obviously, this is a general reading, and my beautiful Aries, the energy is what it is for you, but this is a reading for many. So basically, I think something is going to massively expand, and very, very, very quickly. I think there's going to be a very fast change in some area of your world. It's highly likely that it could be to do either with romance or to do with some area of your world where you're creating something. You know, the creativity, if your working world is very creative, or indeed if your working world hasn't been creative, it's about to become creative. And you are literally going to need to ground yourself, to anchor yourself. Now, the grieving card is interesting because, of course, with every new beginning, we are letting go of something. I'm either seeing a period of grief coming to an end. So if any of you are in a process where you have experienced a bereavement, I think that point of grieving ends. Or I think maybe there is like an undertone of grieving where you process what it means to move ahead in something very fast. It's like you've got a new arrival point. Like your world is different, it's alive. It's so because we've got the hidden element of the 12th house, it may be that there is an undertone of grieving that needs to be acknowledged and recognized for some of you. I'm really reminded, you know, it comes to mind in the film Dances with Wolves. There's a point at which our main character has Dances with Wolves, has fallen in love with someone, but she is in mourning. And in those traditions, in the traditions of those people, you remain in mourning until the person who is overseeing you, like a medicine man or woman, or somebody who has guardianship of you, following, in this instance she was a widow, but someone who has guardianship over you decides when that period of mourning is over. And there's a point in the film where the medicine man, the holy man who is her guardian, just walks up to her and says, "You will grieve no longer. You know, your grieving is finished." So she's now free to move on and have a new relationship. So it's as though she is protected within that kind of bubble of transition and the need to process those emotions. And she reaches this point, and it's as though this point is then recognized and acknowledged. And it's really coming through very strongly, visually almost for me here. So I feel that there will be something that you have been processing connected to a transition or a loss. Whatever that will be for you, it will be unique. And I think then there is a point, you reach this point where like that is over, that is done, and you launch very quickly into something here. You know, we have here large institutions or overwhelming events. We sort of see bars here, really, on this almost like kind of window. And I feel that something that has not exactly held you back, but something you have been emotionally involved in processing, that's perhaps the best way of saying it, kind of comes to an end. Because something happens. I think something in your world expands. It takes off, or you're anchored, and because you have, it's like you find a new anchor point. It would be like finding new love if you have been processing an old love, you know, the end of a relationship, for example, or you land somewhere, you become anchored and you expand. It's like you can put down roots, you can grow. And I think you do grow exponentially. I think there is a growth spurt of expansion. You'll know what this is about for you, Aries. I think it connects either to, well, I say to creativity, to romance, to your working world. Let's get more information rather than sort of think about where this fits. There could still be an underlying processing going on. If your world has been running really smoothly, my beautiful Aries, the world is a bit higgledy-piggledy, but if in your world everything has been running pretty smoothly, well, way to go, I'm thrilled for you. I think you might be a minority actually at the current time, but if it has been running smoothly, this would be something that suddenly comes along and your world just exponentially expands. And therefore, you're almost like needing to anchor yourself, to remain grounded and to process the underlying emotions of a very fast transition and a very fast expansion. And those are the two kinds of ways in which I'm seeing the energy arrive for you. Let's see what else we are showing for Aries in November. May we kindly get information from my beautiful Aries for November. Yeah, just that one. Okay. Look at this. You have the Page of Wands. Wow. Okay, so this is a real new spark of energy. I love that on her trousers we see, I don't know if you can see here, but there are lizards. This is, I do feel it's a bit of a dream come true, hence the 12th house. Do you know, it may even be something that you have secretly wished for. And now it happens, but you've also got to deal with the reality of it. You know, I often think we can dream. It's like dreaming. If you wanted to be mega famous and you were dreaming and dreaming of it, and then there's the reality of what that means. I remember one of my eldest daughter's friends, who is, I'm not going to name drop, but she is a very very well known actress. And when she got her break, her lucky break, it was like her world was turned upside down exponentially. It was everything she'd ever worked for, and indeed everything she deserved. You know, it was amazing. But suddenly it was like she had to employ somebody to handle her social media because she was on set filming. And you know, she went to an exponential number of followers because, you know, it was out there that this was a role she was playing. It's like she rocketed overnight from, you know, kind of living in a bedsit, you know, as a struggling actress, you know, making ends meet, applying for all kinds of parts, to this monumental stardom. And I just remember my daughter saying, it's like, whoa, just the reality of this dream is now real for her. So there's just something really interesting about the reality of this. So Page of Wands, Two of Pentacles, the Moon, Justice, and the Two of Swords. Okay. Gosh, this is really, really interesting. We've got two twos. I think what I've just been saying has relevance. It's like removing the blindfolds, the reality of what this is. You've got, I think something comes along which is a really, really massive fuel injected expansion into something that you have actually dreamed of. That's what I'm seeing here, my beautiful Aries. And I think you dive into it And then the realness of this, the realness of this, I think the blindfolds will be removed. So somehow I think there'll be, I don't know, maybe you've dreamed, if you had dreamed of falling in love and then you meet somebody but they live on the other side of the world. What's the reality of that going to be like then? There's something about the reality of something that dawns here. There is a real, this is very much in your 3D world. And yet, because it happens expansively in your 3D world, I think you are going to need to be anchored, perhaps, or there's just that flavour of that. There's a real possibility here. It's passionate, it's exciting, it's expansive, it's alive, but I think it brings very, very big changes to your world. They are not in any way negative, but I think there is something about coming to terms with the reality or working out the reality of this expansion. I think it's going to be fab, with the fifth house, romance, creativity, investment, gambles, and other games. I mean, I do think if we think of the wording on this card, there could also be a bit of an energy of wow, do you launch into this? Do you take the risk? But I think, this feels exciting. And I think it also does involve a decision. And maybe part of the decision to sort of jump into it, it's like it's so exciting. And yet, jumping in with both feet, it's almost like, wow, I think there will be an element of kind of the reality of it, but also sort of the reality that you don't know what the reality will be until you get there. It's almost like whatever you jump into, it's, I mean, we don't know, do we? What if you were brokenhearted and you had decided you were never going to fall in love again, and then suddenly you meet somebody randomly and they sweep you off your feet, and it's like, you just didn't see it coming, and you're thinking to yourself, I did not see this coming, I hadn't planned for this, but wow, this just feels incredible. But on the other hand, what if it all goes wrong? I'm not getting a huge amount of what if it all goes wrong, too much what if thinking, but more a sort of a, wow, this is like leaping into unknown territory. That's what I feel we're seeing here. Leaping into unknown territory, but almost with quite a fast realization of what that feels like to be in the unknown territory. And really of that grounding, that anchoring of, a bit like my daughter's friend, rocketing to stardom, the reality of that, everything she'd ever wanted, but the reality of that, so that it's got this flavour. Now, I'm going to move on to the extendeds and I'm going to build on this. If you're interested in looking more deeply into it, I think what we'll do in the extendeds for you, Aries, is really try and get some more detail about possibly what this actually is or how it arrives, but also about the decision. What's going on here with the decision making, because there's a lot of depth here with the moon. Intuitively, I think you want to follow this expansion, and yet there is this reality edge here. So I think in your extendeds, I'm going to dive deep into what this actually feels like. Advice and guidance as to navigating this, to see if we can get some more indications and information about how this is going to move forwards as well. We see the exponential growth, something happening very, very quickly. So I think that's what I'm going to do in the extendeds. You are welcome to join me. They are on Patreon and in the YouTube members area. I'll put the links in the description below and in a comment for you as well. And just thank you so much, all of you, for being here. These readings are suitable for anyone who has Aries as a sun sign, a moon sign, your rising sign, or indeed if you want to, you can cross-watch for friends, family, loved ones, partners, potential partners. So beautiful, Aries. I think this is a bit of a dream come true, but also, and it's not a negative but also almost like, how do you handle it? In a really exciting way. So we're going to really ask about all of that. How do you handle this exponential growth? How do you handle whatever this is that comes in? And let's try and find out more about it for you. Wonderful, Aries. I look forward to seeing you for some other readings, either here for the monthlies, or indeed in some of the other zodiac sign readings, or on my weekly channel where I post readings pretty much every day, or indeed in the extendeds. Aries, tons of love.